The set was unusually quiet that day, the kind of silence that feels heavier than noise. Cameras stood ready, lights were perfectly positioned, and every crew member seemed to move with careful precision. In the middle of it all stood Zhang Linghe, calm and focused, preparing for a scene that demanded both physical intensity and emotional depth. He had done scenes like this before. Action, tension, carefully choreographed movement, it was all part of his profession. Yet there was something different in the air that day, something no one could quite explain. Perhaps it was the complexity of the scene, or maybe it was just one of those unpredictable moments that come with working in film. The director called for rehearsal, and Zhang Linghe stepped into position. His expression shifted instantly, transforming from relaxed to fully immersed in character. It was one of the reasons he was so respected, his ability to switch emotions so naturally, so convincingly. As the scene began, everything moved as planned. Each motion was deliberate, each reaction timed perfectly. The choreography had been practiced repeatedly, down to the smallest detail. But even with preparation, the unexpected can happen in the world of filming. In a split second, something went wrong. A misstep. A slight miscalculation. It was almost invisible to the untrained eye, but the impact was real. Zhang Linghe stumbled during the sequence, and the moment that followed made several crew members freeze in place. The director immediately called, "Cut!" his voice sharp with concern. Everyone rushed forward, their earlier calm replaced with urgency. Assistants, crew members, and staff gathered around, trying to assess what had just happened. The energy shifted completely, from controlled professionalism to genuine worry. But at the center of it all, Zhang Linghe did something unexpected. He smiled. It wasn't forced, nor was it dramatic. It was simple, almost reassuring. As people asked if he was okay, he waved it off lightly, brushing aside the concern as if it were nothing more than a minor inconvenience. "This is not a problem," he said. The words lingered in the air. For a moment, no one quite knew how to respond. His tone wasn't dismissive. It was calm, steady, almost comforting. It was as though he wasn't just speaking about the injury, but about something deeper. The staff insisted on checking him anyway. It was protocol, after all. Even minor injuries needed attention, especially on set where safety was critical. Yet Zhang Linghe remained composed, cooperating but never showing signs of distress. His professionalism became even more evident in that moment. There was no frustration, no visible pain, no hint of complaint. Instead, he maintained the same focus he had before the incident, as if nothing significant had occurred. It wasn't about ignoring the situation, it was about controlling it. For the crew, however, it was hard not to feel uneasy. Seeing someone push through discomfort so effortlessly can be both admirable and concerning. It raised an unspoken question. How much do actors endure behind the scenes that audiences never see? Filming paused briefly while everything was checked. The atmosphere softened, conversations lowered to concerned whispers. Some crew members exchanged glances, clearly impressed but also worried about his condition. And yet, Zhang Linghe remained the most relaxed person on set. When asked again if he needed more time, he shook his head gently. His focus had already returned to the scene, to the character, to the work. For him, the moment had already passed. There was something quietly powerful about that. It wasn't about proving toughness or ignoring pain. It felt more like a mindset, an understanding that setbacks, no matter how sudden, were simply part of the journey. Something to acknowledge, but not something to fear. As filming resumed, there was a subtle shift in the energy. Everyone became more attentive, more careful. The earlier confidence had transformed into heightened awareness. But Zhang Linghe moved with the same ease as before, as though he was reassuring not just himself, but everyone around him. His performance didn't falter. In fact, if anything, it seemed even more grounded. There was a depth to his expression, a quiet resilience that translated beautifully on camera. It was the kind of authenticity that couldn't be scripted. Moments like these reveal something beyond acting skill. They show character, not the fictional kind portrayed on screen, but the real one that defines a person. And in that moment, Zhang Linghe showed a level of composure that left a lasting impression on everyone present. Later, as the crew reflected on the incident, the phrase he used kept coming up. "This is not a problem." Sounded simple, almost too simple. But within it was a perspective that many found inspiring. A reminder that not every obstacle needs to become a crisis, that sometimes calmness can be the strongest response. Of course, it didn't mean the injury didn't matter. Precautions were taken. Care was given. But the way he handled it changed how the moment was perceived. It shifted the narrative from concern to quiet admiration. In an industry often filled with pressure and unpredictability, reactions like his stand out. They show a kind of inner stability, a confidence that doesn't rely on external validation. It's not about being fearless, but about being steady, even when things don't go as planned. For fans who later heard about the incident, the story carried a different kind of impact. It wasn't dramatic or sensational. It was subtle, human, and real. It offered a glimpse into the reality of filming, the risks, the challenges, and the mindset required to face them. And perhaps that's why it resonated so deeply. Because behind every polished scene, every flawless performance, there are moments like this. Moments that test not just physical ability, but mental strength. Zhang Linghe's response didn't just resolve the situation, it defined it. It turned what could have been a moment of panic into one of calm reflection. It showed that sometimes strength isn't loud or obvious. Sometimes it's as simple as a quiet smile and a steady voice. As filming wrapped that day, the set slowly returned to its usual rhythm. But the memory of that moment stayed. Not because of the injury itself, but because of how it was handled. Because of the calmness in the middle of uncertainty. Because of the reminder that not every challenge needs to shake you. And in the end, that simple sentence carried more weight than anyone expected. This is not a problem. Sometimes, the most powerful stories are not the ones filled with drama, but the ones that reveal who someone truly is when things don't go perfectly. And on that day, Zhang Linghe showed exactly that.